I'm taking over the worst team in Florida, and I have 5 years to win a national championship with them. The Bulls went 1-11 this past season, so this will be a very challenging rebuild. My first move was getting 4-star tight end Tim Weaver to commit, and he was looking to dominate the new American Conference. I also got Zach Pyron to transfer in from Georgia Tech, but he wouldn't start at quarterback for us until next year because senior Jerry Bohannon won the QB battle. I didn't have a great start at USF as we dropped our first 2 games of the season, but I was more focused on recruiting anyways. I was finding some intriguing prospects, and that had to be the main focus of my first year here if I wanted to bring a championship back to Tampa. 8 games in, we had only won 2 of them, but we had a lot of visits against East Carolina, so winning this week was more important than anything else on our schedule. With 40 seconds left in the half, we were trailing by 2 possessions until junior wide receiver Cafe Brown pulled off a 73-yard touchdown for one of the best plays of the season, and even though we'd end up taking a lead by the 4th quarter, it wouldn't last because Jerry Bohannon had a terrible game against the Pirates, so I'm willing to pin this loss all on him. Fortunately, I still landed a majority of the recruits that I was targeting, and despite being 3-8 with 1 game left, we still had a chance to go out and beat our biggest rivals, UCF, in the war on I-4. We started off with a lead, but with 3 minutes left, we found ourselves down by 2 to the Knights until freshman tight end Tim Weaver, the 4-star that I recruited, took it 66 yards to the house. From there, my defense would take care of business in the final seconds against UCF as we'd win the war on I-4, and despite my first recruiting class being ranked 64th, quarterback Zach Pyron had a great offseason, so we could surprise some teams. Our first game of the year against Louisville came down to the last play where we were held just short in the final seconds, yet we kept fighting. We were in a close battle with number 3 Alabama, and I thought we were going to have a shot to pull off the crazy upset. However, Jamarian Miller broke off a 74-yard run here, and that would seal the game for the Crimson Tide, but I was making progress in my rebuild. I was targeting a lot of stars in recruiting this time, and even though we started the year 2-5, my biggest focus was our upcoming game. There were multiple 4-star recruits visiting, and we had to win to land them, so it's a good thing Zach Pyron and Tim Weaver were on today. They hooked up in the end zone 3 different times, but with about 40 seconds left in the game, Florida Atlantic took a 7-point lead, so we needed a miracle if we wanted to land those top recruits and pull off the massive upset. After we scored the game-tying touchdown on this rollout pass, I decided we should go for the win on this 2-point conversion, and that decision would change USF history. So many amazing prospects committed, and that gave us the number 3 class for the time being. My second season didn't go very well, but even though we missed a bowl game, we could still finish the year with a win in the war on I-4. Tim Weaver set a school record on that play, and we were able to stay in the game because of him and Zach Pyron. With 10 seconds left, they connected for the game-winning touchdown, and we won the rivalry once again. Our quarterback had a decent sophomore year, but I surrounded him with 3 more talented receivers with this recruiting class, so he had to be set for a great junior season. To start my 3rd year as the Bulls head coach, we faced off against Boise State, and although it was very close, Zach Pyron wasn't willing to begin the season on a bad note again. He put the team completely on his back, and with time running out, he found star tight end Tim Weaver for the game-winning touchdown. Once again, against San Jose State, it was a close one, but with a minute left, Zach Pyron found one of his new receivers, freshman George Bush, for the 67-yard go-ahead touchdown. And since my defense held strong on the last play of the game with this very clutch interception, there was a new era at USF. And it looked like I was going to get my first win over a top 25 team in Miami. The defense was holding up very well against the Hurricanes, and the upset was inevitable after this, but that wasn't the only good news. To celebrate my new partnership with PrizePicks, the sponsor of today's video, I'm giving away $25 to 20 of you. And if you don't know what PrizePicks is, it's my favorite way to play daily fantasy. If you think you know sports, this will really test your knowledge as you try to predict correctly higher or lower on player projections. And PrizePicks offers every sport you can think of. So you got the NBA, the NFL, college football and basketball, soccer, MLB, It just keeps going on and on. Anyways, for the giveaway, I'm going to give $25 to the first 20 of you that sign up using my code BOARD or using the first link in my description, and you'll have to make an initial deposit to be eligible, which I'll be checking, but the good news is it'll be doubled when you use my code, and once you've done that, take a screenshot of this page and send it to me in a DM on Twitter or Instagram. Now, it's time to continue our rebuild where Zach Pyron was single-handedly carrying this team on his back. So when Rice shut him down at home and caused us to lose our first game of the season, I was really surprised. But unlike Matt Ryan, Zach Pyron didn't blow a 28-3 lead, so we got our 5th win of the year at Charlotte, and going into a very important visit week, we had all sorts of momentum, so it was no surprise that we won with ease and landed 11 recruits with our 17-point win over UAB. The conference was on the line this week, and going into the 4th, we were in trouble. We fell behind by 3 possessions to the Owls on this touchdown run, and Zach Pyron wasn't able to get anything going all day in the rain as we lost for the 2nd time this year. After that, we only won one of our next 3, but at least we made a bowl game, and it looked like we were going to beat UCF as Zach Pyron continued to set records. With a minute left in the war on I-4, he evaded the Knights defense and scrambled in for the game-winning touchdown, and that added on to his remarkable junior year. Freshman Mike Bass also had an amazing rushing season, and the new receivers did alright as well, so it was no surprise we capped off the year with a last-second Gasparilla Bowl win over Kentucky. I felt like a championship in the next 2 years was still possible, but Zach Pyron entering the draft made that a lot harder because I didn't prepare for him to leave early. Freshman quarterback James Palmer was going to need to step up, but we should be fine because of the roster that surrounds him. Mike Bass was off to an incredible start, and South Dakota State didn't give us any issues either, so we were actually doing surprisingly well. We beat BYU by 21 on the road, and that win shot us into the top 25, but it wouldn't last long since North Texas figured out how to stop James Palmer, and on the last play of the game, he couldn't even get a throw off, so I knew I had to make a change. I decided we would run our offense through sophomore running back Mike Bass, and that was an incredible decision that changed everything. We won our next 3 games, but once again, Florida Atlantic stood between us and a conference championship, and we were not off to a good start. However, Mike Bass got us back in it, and with a minute left, he fought to get us a 1-point lead, so all we needed was our defense to hold strong in the final seconds, which they were able to do in a huge rivalry win. After we won our following 3 matchups, not only was an American Conference Championship possible, but sneaking into the playoffs was as well. Mike Bass was incredible for us against the Knights as we won the war on I-4 for the 4th straight time, and he was the reason we made the conference championship. Quarterback James Palmer messed up his ankle during practice though, so backup William Riley had to come in and run the offense to perfection. Fortunately, Mike Bass couldn't be stopped, and even when he made mistakes, we were still able to score, so he brought an American Conference Championship home to Tampa. But we were far away from making the playoffs, and I couldn't believe how low we were ranked for only having 1 loss. It was honestly unbelievable, but it clearly affected my players as none of them showed up playing their best. We ended up losing by 12 to South Carolina, and that would be tight end Tim Weaver's final game at USF, but the future was very bright as I had 2 high-level coordinators by my side, and to open up my final season at USF where we had to win it all, we went into the swamp and took down the Florida Gators in a close battle. This was the Bulls' last chance to get a national championship, and I felt like if James Palmer played well enough, we could have a shot at the title. I never lost the war on I-4 in my time at USF, and after we won our next 4 games, we were ranked number 2 in the country. The American Conference was too easy, and we were just really good. FAU didn't give us any issues, and it looked like we were the best team in Florida as Mike Bass continued to lead us past every single team. He was having an incredible year for the Bulls, and this performance with almost 300 total yards proves that. We ended up finishing the regular season undefeated and as the number 1 team in the country, so going into the American Conference Championship, we were favored to annihilate SMU. Before halftime, we already had 4 rushing touchdowns, and Mike Bass was unstoppable. He broke multiple USF records as he rushed for 278 yards and 5 touchdowns, and that secured our 2nd straight American Conference trophy. However, that wasn't our main goal. We still needed to win a national championship, and since we weren't playing weak conference opponents anymore, that wouldn't be easy. James Palmer was was looking like Zach Wilson, so going into the fourth quarter, we were down by 11, but fortunately Mike Bass saved the day. Time and time again, he made sure that we didn't fall behind by too much, and after our defense got a big third down stop, he got us down the field and won it in the final seconds. We would play Penn State in the national championship, and I couldn't believe we got this far with sophomore James Palmer. Although Mike Bass mainly carried, he still threaded the needle a couple of times, and if he hadn't have stepped up throughout the season, we wouldn't be here right now. With 2 minutes left, we went up by 7, but Penn State tied it up, so the game was in the hands of my offense, and amazingly, backup running back Robert Thompson pulled off a filthy juke move and ran with it all the way down to the Nittany Lions 40-yard line, and from there we ran with it to set it up for a field goal. That would lead to USF's first national championship in school history, and after getting it done in just 5 seasons, I couldn't believe I brought the trophy home to Tampa.